Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, board members and staff. Thank you for having me. My name is Mariah Lauritsen. I'm with the Golden State Salmon Association, which represents the entire California fish industry. The salmon fishing industry, when healthy, supports 23,000 jobs and is worth 1.4 billion annually in economic activity. Our industry is shut down in 2023 and 2024, and we don't know if we will have a season in 2025. This is having a huge impact on businesses, families, and communities in California and coastal Oregon. Mill, Deer, and Antelope creeks should be supporting healthy spring run and fall populations. Thank you for going to the next slide. We care about these creeks because we catch fall run. Listed runs, including spring and winter runs, lead to restrictions on salmon fishing to protect those runs. So healthy winter and spring runs means that we can fish. Weak spring and winter runs limit fishing on the fall runs. So we need strong creeks to combat the fishing restrictions. Next slide. The Department of Fish and Wildlife has documented the importance of these creeks. I would just like to highlight Mill Creek as an example. It's classified as a high priority Core 1 watershed. There's potential for independent spring run Chinook salmon, and Mill Creek is a conservation stronghold and important to the long-term recovery of the Central Valley spring run Chinook salmon. Next slide. However, we are seeing declines on these creeks that should be providing consistent salmon. So the last 3 years, we have gone from hundreds of salmon to 34, 23, and 0 salmon on Mill, Deer, and Antelope Creek, respectively. Antelope Creek hasn't even had salmon for the last 2 years, meaning 2022 and 2023. Next slide. Even creeks such as Butte Creek, long considered a stronghold for salmon, is seeing crashing populations. Butte Creek this year has been at actually the same order of magnitude in terms of population as Mill, Deer, and Antelope Creek. 3 years ago, the population was 200 times that size. We have lost, for now, our only remaining stronghold for wild Central Valley spring run. The situation is particularly dire. We are literally on the brink of extinction. Next slide. Here are the fall run numbers. So the Sacramento was the stronghold for wild spawning fall run, and the most important salmon system south of the Columbia River. We have said for decades that the Sac is the backbone of the salmon fishing south of the Columbia River. Frankly, this is no longer true. We need to spend resources to rebuild the Sac, and we also need to look for opportunities to rebuild fall runs on other streams. Next slide. Inadequate flow and temperature protections, particularly during drought, is the driver for these declines for fall and spring run. There were emergency flow requirements on the Mill, Deer, and Antelope creeks during the drought. We urge you to set flows on a permanent basis for all year types. Action on Mill, Deer, and Antelope creeks by the state board is essential for 4 reasons. 1, to protect the spring run, to prevent extinctions and to start to rebuild the run. 2, to limit ESA-related fishing limitations. 3, to allow healthy fall run populations to be reestablished in these creeks. And 4, the fire damage basically makes all of this even more urgent. Next slide. As the Golden State Salmon Association, we do oppose artificial solutions that are doomed to fail, such as artificial in-stream channels for fish passage. This kind of stream engineering has a long history of failure. And we have basically observed that salmon thrive in natural, healthy rivers. Natural solutions are the best solutions for salmon and provide a full range of beneficial uses, such as natural resources like healthy riparian habitat. Um, the Army Corps of Engineering have had experience of inserting engineering solutions and then having to undo those solutions to restore natural meanders of rivers. Next slide. There's a clear case for urgent action. The status of spring and fall run in the fishing industry demonstrate the need for urgent action. Remember that our industry has been shut down for 2 years now. Flows, or rather lack of flows, are the cause of population decline. Both data and experience in the form of the adopted emergency drought flows back the conclusion to have permanent flows established. And from a water management perspective, this is an easy system with few diverters. Next slide. The state board should, as rapidly as possible, complete a scientific basis report and adopt a science-based set of flow regulations for Mill, Deer, and Antelope creeks that cover all water year types. Please do not delay and do not simply roll this into the larger Bay Delta Plan process, and don't wait for voluntary agreement proposals. Please move with urgency for the sake of the fish and the people whose jobs and communities rely on those fish. Thank you for your time and consideration, and I will now yield to the Nature Conservancy.